if you are a content writer and all you do is report facts, or you're just creating a fun article like listicles or whatever, and you're just pulling from different sources, your job's dead.
I wanted to ask you, I'm very curious, what do you think of ChatGPT?
Okay, so I mean, I've actually had people ask me the last week, like multiple times. It's just weird, just because it's in the conversation. And here's what I say: I'm not worried for myself as a copywriter, and here's why. ChatGPT is designed to describe and give you information that it thinks it should give you. So it's predicting the next word or whatever. And what it does then is it will pull from different sources to the point where it's proven that it's made up sources. So it's not factual. It sounds good. That's ultimately what ChatGPT's job is, to sound realistic and good. And this article I recently shared with Osmosis from Noam Chomsky, the old school guru of language, he argues that ChatGPT can never replace human beings because good writing is understanding context and counterfactuals. When I make an argument, I have to think about, well, what about this argument? What about this argument? If I had, like, counterfactuals is asking, what if this happened? And you explore that. That's what good writing is, because you're exploring all the different sides. And ChatGPT can never actually do that because it's not thinking. It's just pulling different sources and predicting the next thing. Right? So if you are a content writer and all you do is report facts, or you're just creating a fun article like listicles or whatever, and you're just pulling from different sources, your job's dead. But if you're coming up with like a sales argument or a persuasive thing, or you're writing a deep, intelligent, insightful analysis or an opinion piece, your job is forever secure because they can never actually do that. I mean, maybe one day, like in 500 to 1,000 years, we finally get to the point where computers can think at that level, but it's hard for me to think that would ever happen because software by nature is ones and zeros. It's just it just thinks that way. Whereas we haven't fully figured out how the brain works and why we are able to play counterfactuals. Like the fact that I can think about, what if I said something really offensive to Igor right now? Like, I can play that out in my mind and not do it.
Interesting. So you're saying that ChatGPT cannot go down a what if scenario, even if prompted to?
Yeah, it will do what it thinks it should do it based on other sources, but like it doesn't have the ability to play all the different arguments in its head because it doesn't have a head.
So it can only base itself on existing information. It can't really come up.
It cannot imagine. That's what Noam Chomsky is arguing. Ted Chiang, who wrote Arrival, the short story that eventually became the movie by Denis Villeneuve, he also had an article out. I don't remember what his argument is, but again, like, here's two very smart people talking about how ChatGPT can't replace humans to a certain level, right? I mean, like, at the BizOp level, what a lot of people are doing with ChatGPT, yeah, of course, go ahead and do that. That will replace a lot of work. And again, like, for like Wall Street reporting, we've had this for like almost 10 years now, right? Like, you put a robot in there, they'll tell you like, oh, yesterday this stock went up this much and this stock went up this much. It summarizes the earnings report for you. That's factual information. But it's not going to replace Warren Buffett, right? It's not going to replace a smart investor like Carl Icahn, or like, these people that they think a certain way that cannot be replaced. I mean, if we could replace that, there would be a lot more billionaires in the world.
Yo, it's Igor. I want you to have my Amazon best-selling book for free for taking the time to listen to my podcast and to watch my YouTube videos. Now, I'm not only going to give you this book for free, but I'm going to throw in about $3,200 in free bonuses. Now, if you want to get this book, please click the link in the description, or you can also go to igorsbook.com. And now, back to the podcast.
So do you think we'll ever get to a point of having like an actual, Western world style robots that can think?
I don't. That is a question that's beyond my scope. But like based on what I've read, it's not possible right now. Like maybe I don't know. Like I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I don't
Interesting.
want to
What do you
say
think of
anything. Go ahead.
what do you think of a bunch of really smart people like Elon Musk who are trying to ban ChatGPT and similar programs from developing for the next 6 months?
I don't think that will do much because science and technology has just moved forward no matter what. And based on what we've seen with Elon Musk's decision making over the last 12 months, I get a sense that there's more political reasons involved because ChatGPT was created by him and I forget the other guy, but like now they're not. He sold his shares in ChatGPT, and now he's starting up a fight. What's going on there? Like there's something else going on.
Okay, that's a perspective I haven't considered.
Altman, right?
Cool.
Sam Altman is the other guy because
Yeah, that's right.
they own ChatGPT together, and then he sold it, and he bought Twitter. It's like, all right, what are you really doing? Like I'm very suspicious of all of Elon Musk's moves these days because he's just not like, especially with the way he's handled Twitter. It's just like, okay, all right, maybe you're not so smart as we think you are.
Oh no, I think he's pretty smart. I just think
Oh
he's
yeah, but
also.
like I'm also saying he's not as smart as we think he is. Like
Oh, maybe not. Yeah,
he's created this
maybe not every move
persona.
is brilliant.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Okay, interesting. Well, my take on ChatGPT and the ability to reason and to do a what if exercise or to imagine things or to think a certain way. I believe, I don't subscribe to the same belief as Noam Chomsky. Obviously, I'm not as educated about that, and I don't claim to have any expertise in anything really, but I do believe that the age of something like ChatGPT or similar form of software being able to think in a certain way, and us being able to teach it to think in a certain way, at least based on the existing profiles, like such as Warren Buffett, such as Elon Musk and Henry Ford and whatnot, people who left their memoirs behind, and who we can study their decision making process over the course of a timeline. I think we're close to the era where we can employ a Warren Buffett in a decision making process about
Yeah.
some.
So let me be clear on that. You can absolutely use ChatGPT to train yourself because if you look at Carl Magnuson, that guy got good really quickly because he grew up in an age of AI chess. So he was training himself in a way that's never been trained before. But it still requires the human brain to absorb all that knowledge and to play the way he plays.
Right,
So you can
right,
use it as a training program to learn all the different ways and different scenarios and what if and possibilities. But it's not going to replace you.
right. Okay. Do you think ChatGPT will make us dumb?
It'll make the smarter people smarter and will leave everybody else behind. That has become the story of the last 20 years. Like the top 1% keeps getting more, whether it be wealth, intelligence, women, spouses, whatever. Like it's just it if you're already smart, you're gonna use the tools and whatever to make yourself even smarter and capture more of the audience. Um, Scott Galloway talked about how star teachers are becoming star teachers because they have the internet now. So now we have a whole bunch of teachers and universities that don't have the star power, and they're not getting the large share of the audience. Like Scott Galloway went from New York Stern. I don't know if he still teaches there, but now he has his own school program, and he's making more money because he's got internet distribution. So it's like it's one of those situations like it's gonna leave a lot of people behind, and hopefully evolution catches up and raises the bar for everyone. But it will create a lot of inequality. That's really what it will keep doing.
I think you're spot on this. I can't find a reason to disagree with you on this one, to be honest. Like the gap between the rich and the poor, or the smart and not so smart, it's it's obvious how insane it is right now. And I think Yuval Harari, right, spoke many times about it. How in the future this is where we're heading, like the gap and inequality. Um, yeah. And speaking of the school system, this has been a fascinating thing to observe, to be honest with you, since the development of ChatGPT. What's the impact it's been having on schools and universities? It seems like they're just afraid of it, and they try to ban it in every way possible. What's your take on this? What do you think ChatGPT and similar technology will do to the education system?
I'm gonna go back to that same argument that I shared with from Noam Chomsky. Is like it can't replace well thought out essays. Can it help them do research and like boring, straightforward essays? Absolutely. Again, if you're just reporting facts and you're just putting together a well-reasoned argument, fine. But if you're like taking to the next level, which good academia should do, which is like explore new things and put new thoughts and insights into it, it can't because it doesn't exist yet. So, um, so recently, what happened was ChatGPT. A lot of sci-fi writers and fantasy writers started submitting a shit ton of fantasy and sci-fi stories to the magazines and flooded them. And this is probably what's going to happen at academia too. Like a lot of students are going to be lazy and throw in an essay. So ultimately, what will happen is you're going to make a lot of professors and TAs pissed off because now they're marking essays they know was written by ChatGPT because you can tell because the writing's not good, and they're just going to be mad. And I think a lot of people will just eventually it'll clean itself up, hopefully. But like the good people, like again, like the gap, the smart people who write original essays with new thoughts and ideas will get their doctorates and masters and whatever, whereas the people who are cheating will they won't learn anything, and what's more, they'll make the system worse.